Capitalism is the base in which thriving countries have based their economic blueprints. And where there is capitalism, there are companies trying to get money. They do this by providing goods and services in exchange for that money, which will in turn later be exchanged for goods or services. However, sometimes all is not as it seems, and from time to time some of those goods or services are either completely ill thought out pieces of shit or potentially even very dangerous. A last resort response to this is to recall or ban your product. And to do a total recall essentially means that your idea was either stupid or dangerous. It's wise to do one and it admits your mistakes, and all the big brands have to do it, but it's never a good look. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the stupidest, the most dangerous, and the deepest reasons why a product has ever been recalled or banned. This is the Banned Toys Iceberg Explained. Up first, we're going to cover lawn darts, which is traditionally played by having two people throw these large darts into a circle in the garden. It's similar to normal darts, but there's no dartboard, instead being traditionally a circle, and you can play it outdoors. Again, the lawn darts seem to be a bit bigger than a traditional dart. As far back as 1970, the FDA demanded that lawn darts be made explicit they are not for children and are instead made for adults. And why might that be? Well, have you ever seen a lawn dart? You need a sharp end for it to stick to its target. Well, imagine those darts being 13 inches. That's almost as big as my dartboard. Jokes aside, children throwing these around was an awful idea, and tragically, back in 1987, a 7-year-old died after being hit with one. The next year, a report came out that discovered in the previous 8 years, over 6,000 Americans had to be taken to the ER due to injuries caused by lawn darts, the vast majority of which were younger than 15, and since then, the lawn dart has been modified to have a softened edge. But this was a tragedy that really didn't have to happen, unfortunately. That, I guess, sets the tone for the rest of this iceberg. That's the very first entry. And of all of these, this probably is the most dangerous. I don't know any of the other ones that actually have injured 6,000 people. The next entry is just Trampoline on the original Iceberg. Not very specific, so I'll talk about what I found online. Because let's be fair, trampolines are usually safe enough. But if you've ever had a trampoline, you'll know that every now and then they can become a bit problematic. This one here, called the Super Jumper, was recalled a small while back because apparently the legs gave out, which should be priority number one in the engineering phase, right? You shouldn't have trampolines that collapse. Making sure that the trampoline stands up is priority numero uno. Apparently there were a few injuries caused by this product, which is why it was recalled, but since the original Iceberg isn't very specific about which type of trampoline, I'm just going to leave it at that. The next entry on the iceberg is unfortunately also quite vague. It just says Easy Bake Oven, which doesn't give us a lot to work with. I found this one online and I think that must be what it's on about. It was this Easy Bake Oven that was sold between 2006 and 2007 in the USA, which reported that 249 children were injured with the toy. This Easy Bake Oven was manufactured by Hasbro, who will be featured a lot in this video, and in the end they had to issue a recall on the product after, tragically, a young girl received burns so bad they had to amputate her finger. It seemed to be that exact model of the oven because their Easy Bake Ovens from before May 2006 were not included in the recall. Either way, I don't know how Hasbro could make an Easy Bake Oven that burnt people. I mean, I thought that the point of an Easy Bake Oven was that they couldn't get hot enough to hurt anyone, but apparently it did. The Swearing Minion Toy.
Which one of you little kids taught the minions how to say G'day, you don't?
No, not that one. Okay, this one is a little bit more lighthearted, so let's take a time machine back to July 2015. A magical time indeed. Pokemon Go was still a year away, Pewds was still the most subscribed YouTuber, and the 2018 YouTube Rewind wasn't made yet. It was good times. K-pop! As well as this, McDonald's released a line of Minion toys inside their Happy Meals to celebrate the release of the masterpiece that was the Minions movie. There were a few toys to collect via childhood obesity, but apparently one of them, this little caveman here, swore. I'll link the original video in the description. But yeah, some parents thought that this minion was saying, what the f***, and not like tuck-a-tuck or random minion babble. I don't really know what he was saying, but it did not sound like what the f***. The thing is with McDonald's is that all of their toy promotions eventually end anyway, so I'm not sure if this one was actually recalled or banned. I couldn't find anything saying it was online. I just think that they just pushed it out of the spotlight quickly. Even though McDonald's themselves said that parents were being stupid and that children wouldn't even know, we all just have dirty minds, which is potentially fair enough. That could definitely be a cause. the Pokemon Burger King toy controversy. So I actually came across this when researching the creepiest advertisement Iceberg, which you should watch if you haven't already. It didn't really make sense to put it in that video, but I'll do it here. So essentially what happened was that back in 1999, Burger King did a promotion in which they sold Pokemon toys inside their kids' meals. This was hugely popular. I mean, at the time, Pokemon was taking the world by storm, and the toys seemed to be of quite high quality for a kids' meal. You could kind of collect them all. However, if you've ever played with a Pokemon toy in the last 20 years or so, you'd know that with any Pokeballs that are sold, they are kind of attached at the bottom and the top. This is because, tragically, when the toy was first released, you could separate the top from the bottom, and an infant accidentally suffocated itself after putting one of the parts of the ball over its nose and mouth. Initially, Burger King did not want to recall the product. It was making them a lot of money. They just wanted a full report. However, after a second toddler almost suffocated, they went ahead with the recall, telling people to return the balls to Burger King in exchange for a small portion of fries. The recall was broadcast throughout the USA, being shown on the news, in commercials, and in the papers. However, what happened next made things worse, as a 4-month-old suffocated on a Pokeball after the PSA had ended. After this, no one else was injured or died, but many put Burger King's slow response time to the injury of the second child and the suffocation of the third. Sky Dancers was released in the 1994 Christmas season and were quite popular with customers. No, not that Sky Dancer, unfortunately. The way you played with the toy was that you would attach it to this small base, you'd pull a string, and then it would fly up like a helicopter. Now, by me describing that, you probably put 2 and 2 together, but we have the gift of hindsight. Back in 1994, it was a popular toy. So popular, in fact, that in 1997, it spawned an animated series that ran for 27 episodes. However, not was all good with this thing. Similar to lawn darts, it was just a poor decision from the start because it put children in close proximity to sharp moving edges. Over 6 years between 1994 and 2000, over 100 injuries were reported as a result of the product, ranging from facial lacerations that required stitches, to broken ribs, to temporary blindness apparently. I think that it might have been down to the fact that you need to pull a string for it to work, which meant that you had to be in relatively close proximity to the toy. Thinking back to the flying fairy that fell into the fire, if you put it in place, it just shot itself up, so you'd have enough time to move out of the way. It just so happened that it then fell into the flames of doom. Either way, Hasbro bought out Galoob, who was the original creator, and had to recall 8.9 million of these things. In 2005, they rebranded as Dragonflies, a toy made for boys instead of girls, and that also got an animated show to go along with the toy, which ran for 26 episodes. The Poe Swearing Doll. I think this list right now is kind of a weird blend of horrible injuries and tragedies, as well as kids' toys just being recalled because parents think that the toy is swearing. So if you've ever watched Teletubbies, you'll know that the Teletubbies speak complete gibberish. It's a weird show, no one's speaking English, they just kind of babble. Now I'm going to play a clip of Poe, and I want you guys to tell me down in the comments what you think she's saying before I tell you, okay? No cheating, just what do you think Poe is saying? Okay, so maybe you know which would have been problematic, and if you didn't, that should prove as evidence that the toy shouldn't have been banned. This poor Poe doll was accused of being a homophobe because people thought that it said a certain homophobic slur. As well as that, some other people also thought that it might have said, "bite my butt." Now, I can't tell you how the manufacturers rationalized "bite my butt," but apparently it's meant to be saying faster in Cantonese instead of a certain F word. That's really the whole story. The manufacturers themselves said that there was nothing wrong with it, but slowly this toy started getting taken off of the shelves. I'll make this one quick because it's not really as mad as the Poe Swearing Doll, but also in the Teletubbies is a character called Tinky Winky. If I remember the show correctly from the time I was like 2, one thing that Tinky Winky says a lot is again, again. For this reason, they put it in the Tinky Winky doll released in 1998, around the same time as the Poe doll. I think they were released in the same year. The reason why it too came under fire was... Actually, you know what? We're going to do it again. Have a little listen now and tell me down in the comments what you think Tinky Winky is saying.
Again, 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 again.
So some people think that Tinky Winky is packing heat because they hear him saying, "I've got a gun," instead of again, again. Something that I found during research is that apparently Teletubbies is British. I thought it was Universal, and so that makes less sense because what kind of British kid is going to care if Tinky Winky has got a Glock or something on him? Gun crime isn't a problem over here, but either way, it was taken off the shelves. The Trolls doll is... yeah, okay, this one is awful. And of all the toys on this list, this is one of the most recent. It was actually banned last year, and I have no words how this was allowed to be sold to the public. We'll cut to the chase, shall we? Because this thing is so unambiguously a bad idea. There is a button on the doll located between her legs that makes the doll make some gasping noises, which goes without saying is inappropriate. The intention was apparently for it to make noises when sitting down. It didn't come out this way whatsoever, and there was a big petition to get it recalled, signed by hundreds of thousands, which it promptly was. Out of all of them so far, this one has to be the worst in just how obviously wrong the toy was. Even if it was intended to make a noise when it sat down, it doesn't take a genius to know that something was up with this thing. The Dora the Explorer toy, I'm not even going to speak about this one. You can take a look at it, you can work out why this thing was banned. Are you telling me that no one noticed throughout its entire production? Why did the bottom have to be pink? Just make it like purple or yellow or orange, I don't know. And don't have two circular shapes right there. Awful, awful, ill thought out toy. Pregnant Barbie. It's no secret that Barbie dolls have been at the heart of a lot of controversies throughout the toy's history. While some people think that it's just a glamorous toy that young girls like to play with and pretend, others think that there's a level of perfection that a Barbie doll represents, and that's very damaging to young children. Anyways, back in 2002, Barbie released Midge and Baby as part of its Happy Family set, containing Midge, her husband, and their son. Along with Midge, you also get her baby, because Midge was pregnant, and the toy was held together with detachable magnets, and you could kind of make this thing give birth as many times as you wanted. You know, nice toy, now make it give birth. The pain of childbirth for kids. But yeah, parents thought that this thing would promote teenage pregnancy, and even though Mattel did make sure to paint a ring on the Barbie's finger, the doll was taken off shelves right before Christmas time. These days, the doll is a collector's item and goes for a lot of money because it's not dangerous. People just thought that it was inappropriate. I'll make this one quick too because we're kind of on the topic of Barbie dolls, but back in 1991, Mattel released Rollerblade Barbie, which is what you think it is. Bit of an oversight though, because apparently this toy could be considered as a fire hazard because the skates actually spark. The toy was banned because of this, but unopened boxes, similar to the pregnant Barbie, go for a lot of money online these days, so if you have one kind of kicking around your attic, it's worth a lot of money. A lot of these further down entries just seem to be choking or overheating hazards, but the 2010 Sandy Cheeks toy I just wanted to include because yes, it is also another choking hazard. The nose comes off and it can be ingested, but also, look at this thing, I mean it's cursed! Apart from that, nothing crazy, you can just choke on the nose. I might be going down the wrong rabbit hole because I'm not sure if this is legit. Apparently LOL dolls have a bunch of fakes circulating, so this might not be real. The reports that I've seen could just be the fakes. You'll have to tell me down in the comments if you know, but apparently if you put LOL dolls in ice water, these surprise dolls change to be extremely suggestive in an intentional way, obviously intentional. These things seem to be intentionally sexual. Some of the stuff, I mean, I don't know how you could rationalize it any other way. This one is also very recent. 2020 was a shit year for a lot of stuff, but between this and the Trolls doll, these two have to be the worst on the list because it's just overtly inappropriate. There's not too much more else to say. People got so angry at this. The surprise dolls were banned because obviously they were, but as I said, it's quite a new toy, so we'll have to see how this will pan out in the future. Will all LOL dolls just be scrapped? Hopefully. Either way, someone is responsible for this. The toy is absolutely, positively horrible. Anyways, that's it from me. There were some really interesting entries here, I've got to say, but if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I've been informed that there is no monetary exchange necessary, therefore, subscribing won't impact your finances. If you're interested, I also have a Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch that you could go follow, as well as a Discord you could join, and Patreon you could support. Links all in the description. If you'd be interested in sending IcebergCharts for a chance to be shouted out in a video, send them to foxakimbo@gmail.com. This iceberg chart was made by PickBobinog777, so shout out to him, as well as Cage 101, my very first patron. Anyways, please let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see me do next, as I'm only 46 videos in and I'm already out of ideas. Thank you for watching.